Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
briefly on Frank's 1/25th scale Guardian gate. Here's what I've done from the last movie. Traced out the pattern on 80,000 styrene, and this is what I've used thus far. I used a carpet knife and X-Acto to cut a trough or pattern along the inside, as you can see, and the outside. The outside I've already cleaned up. And these are the tools that I've used and I'm going to use. Drill bit, carpet knife, X-Acto, half round file, smaller, finer half round file, hole saw. So, what's left? Trim out the inner pattern, clean it up with the file, start adding electronics. Woo-hoo! Okay, after 5 minutes and a pair of diagonal cutters to go along with everything else, I've got a good clean rough cut. Now all I've got to do is come back with the file and or the Dremel and do a fine cut or a fine cleanup on this and keep checking it against the master. And as you can see, we're almost right on the money in some places. Really, really close. Now, when this is all lit up, this is just going to look awesome. Anyway, there we go. That's as far as we're going to get for now. I've done a little more cleanup, all by hand, using nothing but these two half round files and the flats on both ends. So there you go for those that say I cannot do this stuff by hand. I have to rely on a laser cutter. Well, not true. Okay, I've ordered even more electronics to go with what I already have, because this is what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. You're going to see all 3 builds in various stages of production, and you're going to see all these electronic components being put into circuits and installed into the builds. I picked up some more LEDs, a whole stack of 555 timers. I've got 556 and 4017 IC chips. I've got NPN, PNP transistor pairs, more LEDs, solder, more transistor pairs, another copper board for etching circuits, and 2 kits. So that's what we're going to be seeing for the next couple of weeks. All this stuff come together into complete circuits and installed into the various different builds, as well as build progress updates. Woohoo! This is what I use for doing water clear cast parts. Now, I looked for weeks around here to try to find some where this part, I guess part B, whichever part, it doesn't matter. This is an exact 1-to-1 binary clear cast epoxy resin. This part, when it hits UV light, turns amber. It took me weeks to find some that had not turned to amber. And when I went to Michael's to buy this, I literally dug every bit of the Envirotex off the shelf until I found this clear cast. Because, well, I'll show you later. If you mix this with the other part, 1-to-1, you get your clear cast, but it also reduces any slight bit of amber in this part. Now, when you're making water clear parts, you don't want any discoloration whatsoever, obviously. So I went to great lengths to get this. Now, I lucked out. The wife had 40% off coupon at Michael's, so I got almost $40 worth of clear cast for about 22 bucks. It even took money off of the tax. It cut the tax almost in half. So I really got lucky, but it took 2 weeks, and you cannot stockpile this stuff because it will turn to amber. The older it gets, the deeper the amber gets, the worse it looks, and you just can't use it. This stuff has no shelf life. So as soon as you get it, you need to use it. And above all, keep it out of UV light. Do not let it get in direct sunlight because it will turn brown on you. All right, so I've got Truby's Alert Master there. I've got the mold here. So I'm preparing to mold the alert for Truby's alert signal to go on his wall mount communications unit. Now let's talk about doing a volumetric study. All right, a volumetric study is a way to find out exactly how much volume and therefore how much resin, part A and B, you need. Now this is real easy since it's 1-to-1 instead of 10-to-1 or whatever, 20-to-1, 25-to-1, what have you. So all you need to do is pour water into here up to the level that you expect to make your part. There is some minor shrinkage on this stuff, so there's not a whole lot you can do with it except make just a little bit of extra. Now you pour water in here, then you pour until it's level where you want it, then you pour it into a measuring cup, and since it's binary, 2-part, 1-to-1, you measure that by 2. So you need that much of each part. That way you don't waste any extra by making extra by not having an idea, a clear idea of how much you need of each part. If it was 10-to-1, it'd be the same thing. Only you divide it by 10. So you know how much you need of each component, and you just put a little bit extra, and I mean a little bit extra of each, but make sure that you maintain your 10-to-1 ratio. So that is a volumetric study. Now besides making Truby's clear cast part, I'm going to go ahead, this has been sitting out in the garage curing for, well, over a week. So I'm going to hit this with some 600 grit wet sandpaper. I'm going to go over every aspect of this base coat and then shoot it with a couple of coats of the final color to get this ready to move on down the road. Truby, I've ordered some of your electronics parts and they're still not here yet, so I am working on it, dude. So hang in there. Let's talk about brass for a minute. Okay, these are the patterns that I came up with, sent to my friend Bill. Bill did the vector art for me. Then I took Bill's vector art, sent it to my friend Elliot, and Elliot made this brass for me. Now, this is the best way to work with brass for painting it. First of all, steel wool it with some fine steel wool. Clean it off. Wear rubber gloves if you have any so you don't get any oils back onto the brass after steel wooling it. Blow off any small debris left over from scrubbing it with fine steel wool mesh with an air compressor or pressurized air. Blow it off, whatever, as long as you don't have, you know, a lot of moisture in your breath. Anyway, steel wool it and then use a self-etching primer. A self-etching primer will get in and get a good hold of the brass after it's already been cleaned. And just like anything else, all you need is a light coat. A light coat of self-etching primer, let it fully cure, then hit it with your color. Now, I'm going to go with an aluminum finish paint. We're not going to get to that in this movie because I just don't have the time. I've got to move on to other things. But I am going to steel wool this, prep this, and when I go down to Wally World later, I'm going to pick up some self-etching primer. So you will see this in the future, and you will see the complete 1/6 scale electronicized, electrolyzed, electricized, electromagnafluxed lights and sound talking Nomad. Woohoo! Much more to come. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I've got the original series Cylon Raider about 90% done. These are the two bases that I made to go with it, or the Mobius Models kit, whichever one suits you best. I got to add lights to this and a couple of more pieces and some weathering and decals, and then I'm going to display it on a big wooden platform with one of my bases. Can't figure out which one yet. Anyway, there we are on the Cylon Raider. Looking good so far. Such an easy model. Just too easy, really. Alright, I wanted to touch on this for just a minute. I dropped the body, the main body, to the Mars Attacks Martian. And it split apart, which is cool. Normally I would have been really upset, but you know what? I've got a lot easier access to go ahead and put some lights into the main body, so that's what I'm going to do. I've been drilling parts out on the 350th Refit and 350 TOS, one of the 350 original series ships, and geez, what else? Oh yeah, the Guardian Gate. So since I'm on a drilling frenzy, I'm going to go ahead and drill some holes in this and get this ready to light. Now, I haven't shown any of this for a while, but I figured since I was already there, I'm going to go ahead, drill this out, epoxy the LEDs in, and glue this back together and let it set up. Woohoo! Alright, well, you see here, I just got back from the garage. I drilled 3 holes in the front and 1 in the back for backlighting. The Martian head, when this gets complete, you'll see lighting in the front. Plus, I'm going to take some really fine drills and drill out these holes around here. And then you'll have everything forward lit, back lit, and it's going to look really cool when it's done. By the way, about lighting. See the difference that handheld fluorescent makes? Now I'm in here in the bedroom under LED lighting. And if I take it away, it looks yellow and hideous and horrendous. But if I use this little handheld fluorescent light, look at that. Beautimous. Alright, I wanted to show this briefly. This is something I had done out in the garage for years. This is the base for the Planet of the Apes Cornelius model. Now, I think I've done a fine job. I mean, it really looks like it's been sitting down in the middle of nowhere, rotten for 1,000 years. Woohoo! Nice, huh? Now, if I could just get the Cornelius to look that good. And here, once again, is the 1/20th scale bridge and BC deck. I'm getting ready to drill out the holes that didn't make it through the rapid prototyping process, and then I'm going to light it. Let's see how good we can make this look. I think it looks pretty good right now. You hear me? We haven't seen much of this lately. In fact, I haven't done too much at all since I put everything back on the shelf. But every once in a while, we're going to have a little look at the Glencoe rocket. I really like this little kit. It's just a wee bit too little for me. So I am going to upscale this and use the actual Wernher von Braun blueprints to create another model. But I'm not going to say what scale. I just want to make sure that all the little nitpickers and the rivet counters know that I'm not just going to upscale this model. Oh, there's always somebody with something to say, isn't there? And they all know it all. All right, let's talk a little bit about scratch building since I've got all this stuff handy. This is the alert master for the wall mount communications unit that I scratch built by hand. Now, I got the patterns, and all I did is I used some of this evergreen styrene, only actually I used clear because I was going to try to use some clear acrylic. I did use clear, I don't know if it was acrylic or styrene, can't remember. But this stuff comes in handy for scratch building. I use this a lot for scratch building parts. If I ever get the chance, I'm going to make sure to do a quickie demonstration on scratch building using evergreen styrene.